It's that time again, your NBA weekly recap. I feel like I'm talking about this guy every week, but how can you not at the moment? Nikola Jokic has ascended even further beyond. Against the worst team in the league, the Washington Wizards, he dropped 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 assists on 56% shooting. Shockingly though, his Nuggets lost that game, 122-113, which put an end to the Wizards' 16-game losing streak. An embarrassing night for Denver, to say the least. The very next game, Jokic put up 48 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists on 59% shooting, in a 30-point victory over the Atlanta Hawks. At the time of recording, Denver is barely in the playoff picture. A very concerning sign for Denver Nuggets fans is the fact that Jokic is finally starting to act frustrated with his teammates, which is very uncommon for him. In a post-game interview, this is what he had to say about the situation. A reaction in my country, where I'm coming from, after this kind of stretch, you're gonna get a paycheck that is a little less than what you're worth. So maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe a little motivation that way. Yeah. I think you should be a concerned fan base when your superstar player's solution to the problem is giving pay cuts to his teammates. Now here's the thing. Most of us agree that Jokic should be the MVP this season. I just hate the fact that the voters are inconsistent on a year-to-year basis about whether or not a player needs to be on a top-seeded team in order to get MVP votes. But to me, as long as a team makes the playoffs, their star should be considered for the award. So as things stand, I would vote for Nikola Jokic. On that note, I have a question for you guys. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the only player in NBA history to win the MVP award while missing the playoffs, which he did on the Lakers in 1976. So my question is, would you still vote for Nikola Jokic to get the MVP, even if his Nuggets miss the playoffs? I'm very interested to see your perspectives in the comment section below. Last season, the Indiana Pacers were a playoff squad that made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. That year, they were the second best offense in the entire league. And now, they're currently 15th. And at the time of recording, they have an abysmal 10-15 record. The biggest reason for their setback starts with their leader on the floor, Tyrese Halliburton, who just doesn't look like the same player that he was last season. Back then, he was the game's leader in assists per game, and many people were hyping him up as potentially one of the greatest point guards ever. Well, this season, his field goal percentage is down by 6%, and his three-point percentage is now well below league average as well. His scoring, assists, and rebounds are all significantly down. I gotta be honest, I haven't watched many Pacers games this year, so from an eye test perspective, it's really hard for me to tell you why he's so off this season. So if you're a Pacer fan, or if you've just been watching some of their games, let me know your insight in the comment section below. I've been talking positively about the Orlando Magic, who are currently sitting at the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference, but unfortunately, I don't expect them to stay there very long. Their star forward, Franz Wagner, was on fire and was becoming a dark horse candidate for the MVP award. But now, he's torn a ligament and is out indefinitely, which has sucked the wind out of their sails almost completely. Chris Paul of the San Antonio Spurs has moved into 2nd place on the all-time assists list, as he surpassed Jason Kidd. It's an incredible honor to one of the greatest point guards in the history of the game. In case you're wondering, he's now trailing John Stockton by roughly 3,700 assists. For some perspective, Chris Paul has averaged 453 assists per season over the last couple of years. So mathematically, Chris Paul would have to maintain this rate of play for another 9 seasons in order to surpass John Stockton. In that scenario, he would be playing the game at a very high level at the age of 48. So in other words, this is as high as Paul is getting, and John Stockton's record is completely safe. Back on Wednesday, the Warriors and Rockets squared off in the NBA Cup quarterfinals, as these teams are 2 of the better squads in the Western Conference. For the most part, it was a real grit and grind type of game that had low-scoring early 2000s vibes to it. But it was in the final 20 seconds where things got really interesting and pretty controversial. First off, notice the small difference between the game clock and the shot clock, and the Warriors have a 1-point lead. If Houston isn't going to foul, and it looks like they were not planning to, then Steph can really wind the clock down and limit Houston's chances at a victory. Instead, he rushes a step-back 3-point shot. It's a miss, which then becomes a scramble for a loose ball. It's pure chaos on the floor, and then the ref blows the whistle with 3.5 seconds left. And you automatically assume that it's either a timeout or a jump ball like it usually is. But it isn't. They called a foul on Golden State, and they were in the penalty. So now Houston shoots 2 free throws, makes both, and the Rockets end up winning the game. Steve Kerr was extremely upset about this after the game. Take a listen.
I've never seen a loose ball foul on a jump ball situation 80 feet from the basket with the game on the line. I've never seen that. I think I saw it in college one time, 30 years ago. Never seen it in the NBA. That is unconscionable. I don't even understand what just happened. 80 feet from the basket, and you're going to give a guy 2 free throws to decide the game when people are scrambling for the ball. Just give them a timeout. Give them a timeout and let the players decide the game. That's how you officiate, especially because the game was a complete wrestling match.
I gotta be honest, Steve Kerr often annoys me in press conferences because it's very often that he's upset and whining about something. But I can't deny the fact that he's absolutely right in this instance. That is such a wild call to make in that situation, especially when there's major NBA Cup implications. It's not like the Warriors didn't make mistakes though. Just because Steph Curry is possibly a top 10 player all time doesn't mean that we can't call a spade a spade. This was a situationally bad, low IQ shot that likely cost the Warriors the game. And after LeBron James had just done something like that recently with poor shot selection on a 3-point shot, I'm starting to wonder what's in the water with some of our NBA superstars, because some of these judgment calls really need to improve. We're officially getting to that time of year where NBA trade rumors are starting to heat up. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat are on extremely shaky terms, and now he's being connected to Golden State, and even LeBron James is being tied to Golden State as well, which reportedly any package deal that involves LeBron would also need to include Bronny, who did have a pretty darn good game in the G League. As for the trade rumors, it's hard to really know what's true and what isn't, but at the very least, these are the 2 stars who are in the rumor mill at the moment. The Philadelphia 76ers season just keeps getting worse and worse, as they now have a 7-16 record, and Joel Embiid just got a sinus fracture after he took this smack to the face against the Indiana Pacers, and as a result, he'll need surgery and is out indefinitely. On top of that, their solid rookie guard Jared McCain just tore his meniscus and will be out indefinitely as well as he undergoes surgery. We're not even a third into the season, and it already feels like the 76ers season is over. On Friday night, the Charlotte Hornets were up against the Chicago Bulls, and the 2 teams combined to miss 75 3-point attempts, which is now the NBA record for the most misses in a regulation game. The NBA Cup semifinals were last night, and the Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Atlanta Hawks 110-102, thanks in large part to an amazing performance from Giannis, who had 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists on 67% shooting. In the other semifinals game, the OKC Thunder defeated the Houston Rockets 111-96, as SGA dropped 32 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. This means the stage is set for the NBA Cup Final, as the Milwaukee Bucks will be taking on the OKC Thunder on Tuesday night. Here's a look at the current NBA standings. And here's a look at the latest MVP power rankings according to NBA.com. So what stood out to you in this last week of the NBA? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.